Hi guys, today is day 4 of sitting with yourself for 2 hours straight. Today I might once again not be able to do the 2 hours of sitting in one go because I still have a few things to do this evening and I would like not to go to bed too late, which means also for me not eating too late, because as maybe some others watching have the issue of often getting to bed too late. So I'm fixing my sleep rhythm where I'm getting up earlier and also going to bed earlier. So it's important not to eat too late in order to do that, to try and rest on an empty stomach. But what I'm gonna do is I'm now gonna sit for 1 hour. Put a timer and sit for 1 hour. After that, I will have dinner, and then I will, there's a few things I have to do, and then I'll sit for another, hopefully also an hour, maybe 45 minutes, half an hour, depending on how much time I have left. Let's see if tomorrow I can make the 2 hours straight. It's crazy how in our modern lives, we even when we are so-called on a holiday, if that holiday is not like a sort of like a retreat or like a small cabin in the woods, it tends to be very, very difficult to find the time. Like it's somehow our lives are so filled with so many things that even when we take a few days off, it seems like there's so many things to do and there's so many new things piling up. And so it's a problem that I've been facing for, I don't know, maybe the last 10 years or so. Like I remember when I was 18, it was my goal to, I was then still, it was my last year of high school. I turned 18 and I was like, well, when it's summer, I want to sit with myself for 2 hours straight. And somehow I never came to it. Not even once in that whole summer did I manage to sit 2 hours straight. Imagine, I didn't have a holiday job even. I didn't have kids. I didn't have any education going on. I mean, I was learning things myself, but I had no formal education going on. It was not so. I mean, I was helping, with a few things at the house, at home with my parents and all, but it's not so that I was constantly doing, let's say, productive things, but still, somehow I did not manage to take out 2 hours. Now, luckily enough, I see I've got 1 hour, and then there's dinner, and then doing a few things around the house, and then I hope to squeeze in another hour. So yeah, let's see how it goes, and I will probably do the sitting and the David Hawkins practice, the letting go, feeling the feelings that are already in the body, and then just sitting with them. And well, let's see how this camera has to be held. Is it like this? I think it's something like this. So yeah, let's see how that goes when I sit. So that letting go practice of just feeling what's already inside of the body, and what you can even do is think about what you're already worrying about, like then think about the worst outcome possible. Let the feelings come up and then process it, and then you will see that a lot of the charge around that event or potential event or whatever it is, the thing that you want to do, when you some worries about, the charge around it will be less. And that's sounds like a mad idea, because if some of you have been reading about manifesting, right, then this seems to be the absolute opposite, but somehow it does work. And if you want to know more about it, please go and read the books of David Hawkins, especially the book letting go. I think it's called Letting Go: The Pathway to Surrender. And then also the book on healing. If you want to heal specific things like physical things, especially. Are there also other things in it? I think it's mostly on how to use his letting go technique to heal physical ailments, get rid of physical symptoms. But yeah, just that I will do, and then I will probably also do the no, no, no practice, which is basically whenever thoughts come up, you just say like no to that thought, and you come back to feeling your body. So it's basically combining those two. It's basically a way to make the letting go surrender, which it's a bit strange because when I talk about surrender, I refer to actually a different practice. But David Hawkins also talks about surrender, and the way you can interpret it with David Hawkins is basically just not resist the imagined adversary, imagined enemy, which are your feelings, which are supposed to, felt, and you just feel them. So you surrender the resistance to it. That's how you could see that surrender aspect in David Hawkins. And the surrender by Maharishika, that's a thing that is quite different. If you want, I can make a video on that. But yeah, let's start the 1 hour, and let's see if I get back with some insights. So I just did 1 hour, and actually I felt that I only just started scratching the surface. It's in that 1 hour, it's like the first half an hour, 45 minutes for me mostly. It's like there's so much coming up, and yeah, it's very good to do this. But for me, as someone with a very active mind, I feel that I need to do more, and now I will do some tasks, eat some food, and then after that, I want to sit for another hour, because it's like I just feel that it's like it's so important to feel and process things. There were so many things coming up. For example, something about that, it's not a new thing, but it tends to come up now and then. Maybe you've also felt it for yourself, that what we in modern society try to do is basically create a wall of defense, a wall of security. We want to feel secure, we want to feel safe. Every year there's a new insurance that you can apply for. Like every year it gets more and more and more and more and more. And the more insurances that we have, the less safe we feel. It's like, for example, there's this thing like the house and the fire insurance. Let's talk about the fire insurance. Right? We think that, we are afraid of the house burning down, right? And that's why we get a fire insurance. And originally, that was probably the thing. We were afraid that the house was going to burn down. But the thing is, if we go back like a few thousand years and our house would burn down, we would just build a new house. But what we are actually more afraid of, I think, than the house burning down is that our life is going to be burnt down, and that, our life's energy, which now seems to equate with money, if we would not insure the house and the house would, take fire, then we would have a debt for like the rest of our lives. And that is, I think, maybe even as big a reason to take the fire insurance than the actual chance of the house burning down. We just are afraid of losing our money, and money seems to be equated with like life energy and life force, which is it's just madness. I mean, there's a truth to that. That the way society is built right now, if you don't have money, things can get very difficult. But it's quite crazy that it has come to a point where we're basically more afraid to. I mean, or I feel that, at least in myself, that it's as if I'm more afraid to lose my money than for this house to actually burn down. Like I just feel instinctively that if this house would burn down, from my ancestors, I wouldn't be able to build a new house. Maybe not as advanced as this one, but I would be able to build a house. I'm a young guy. I'm getting more and more fit. I would just go to the woods and find some good trees that I could chop down, make some logs, and then build a house and try and see if I can build it near water. Maybe if I can like dig up a well or something like that, and then maybe try if we can find some chickens that can give some eggs and all, or go to a place where there is food. Basically, it's like all these things that for example, look up these the fire alarms, right? And here another fire alarm. It's like we are, because if you don't put these things, you're not insured. If your house burns down and you don't have those fire alarms, guess what? They're not gonna give your money for the house. So you're not gonna be able to rebuild your house. It's like, do I actually like for example, I have to ask myself, do I actually put those fire alarms because I'm afraid that the house is gonna take fire, or because I'm afraid to lose my money? And actually, like, what is it that I'm afraid of in losing my money? It's losing my security. It's basically because this society is built in such a way that if you don't have money, like you're not even allowed to go to the woods and build your house. I mean, imagine that. That's just crazy. So that's just a thought that came to mind. There were like a few other things, but just wanted to say that an hour was just scratching the surface, but that doesn't mean that those surface things are not good to go through, and it's just like, realize that whatever it is you feel, even though it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or you just try and do a little bit of the no practice, where you try and get back to your body and not just go into thinking all the time. Because you see it, like there was some thinking coming up with me, and I decided to actually write something down about this thing that I was saying about this wall of security that we build, and like this fire alarm thing, and that's also fine. I mean, it's okay, and I want to also share this because I felt that the thing is, I felt personally like quite a few years ago, when I recovered from chronic fatigue syndrome after 9 years, I felt that at some point I want to share this. I want to share everything that I learned that helped me go through, the extreme, like basically to get out of the extreme suffering that chronic fatigue entails. And not just chronic fatigue, like I used to struggle with severe OCD, for example, and there were a few other things. And I want to, spread that message, but first I felt like, I still have to work on myself a lot and keep on, it's an endless pushing forward. And I was like, I'm just gonna, now, I moved into this house, I'm gonna take up my spiritual practice again. And I'm just gonna share what I already learned so far, and I'm gonna get into it again myself, and into practicing, and just see what comes up. So I'm gonna pause it here, because I still have a few things to do. After that, I might sit for another hour. I hope so. If I feel sleepy, I'll just go to bed, because I'm trying to go to bed earlier, get up earlier, because I'm not that kind of person that's wants to get up at 5 o'clock or even 6 o'clock and be incredibly productive every second of the day. Like I used to be like that, but then I noticed that this thing of like hyper productivity is often just a thing of self-hate. Like when it comes to my life and my life experience, it tends to not really be the thing for me to do. Like it doesn't just feel right for me. But I do want a certain discipline, because I feel like spiritual practice for me is something that I have to do daily, or at least like maybe I can skip it one day for when there's an exception, but I actually have to do it daily. And then you need a certain routine. And so that's why I decided like um, I'm self-employed, so I can basically decide when I work, but that does not mean that I want to like get up very 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 late, because also there in my work I want to be quite disciplined, and I feel that sometimes it can be very creative very late at night, but the thing is, a little bit of discipline does feel good to me. That's for me personally. Like, if you're an artist, for example, I think because my job is a little bit. I mean, there's some creativity in it, but it's not to the point where I'm an artist. But if you're an artist, it's probably going to be even more so that you're going to have these bursts of creativity. I also have that, but it tends to like, for example, go on to like 1 or 2 in the night or something, longer, and it was like then you're just not fresh the next day. And I'm creating a business where um, I actually have to be available and be mentally like fresh during, let's say, the more or less the 9 to 5 hours. I'm still seeing what exactly you have to go for, but still more or less those hours. So if you continue going to like 2 in the morning, and you're the kind of person that works out best in the mornings, and you need quite a lot of sleep, then you can just not continue working till 2 in the morning if you want to be fresh when someone calls you at 9 in the morning. So that's just something that I decided to go for myself. And maybe that's also going to be the case for you. Maybe it's going to be different. Maybe you're an incredibly disciplined person. I'm somewhat in the middle, where I like a bit of flow, but I also like having some kind of structure. And I felt that recently that structure was missing, which is why I want to build it into my day a little bit more. So yeah, I'm gonna pause it here, and have a great practice, however long it takes. What I started to notice after doing that 1 hour sitting, and after making some food, and doing some other things that I had to do, is that starting to take some time off now, right? For the first time in a very long time, first time in a year, taking a bit of time off for a week. There are like memories that come up that where it's like so crazy that I forgot them. Like, for example, details of me almost dying 3 years ago, or details of how I survived a few months after that, like a crazy accident where I got electrocuted at 11,000 volts. Like how I survived that. It was just crazy. Like there are two key moments that came back to mind about that accident and how I was literally like somehow magically surviving. Um, but it was quite a struggle, and those things started to come up, and I feel that is because now I'm finally able to actually process it. Before I was so much in survival mode, and not actually giving myself space, and now I'm starting to be able to actually process some of the things that happened to me, and I will actually make a video on maybe both of those two occasions, shortly after I had that crazy accident, on how I survived, um, and yeah, um, I would like to sit a little bit more now because I didn't do my 2 hours yet. I did 1 hour, but now I'm gonna sit for a little bit longer. It's already quite late, so I'm not gonna take it too long. Maybe not a full hour now. Let's see how long I'm gonna sit, but yeah, it's really nice to have all those revelations coming up. So that's also something that you can experience if you start to sit with yourself for some time. It doesn't necessarily have to be hours and hours. Like now it was 1 hour, and all the things that start coming to me. And it's not just that. I also noticed that this week I'm not only taking time to sit, I'm also consuming way, way less. It's not so that I'm consuming nothing at all, but I'm consuming a lot less. Like last year, I actually took 1 week where I was solo in Germany, and I basically like for like 4 days I used my phone for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, just for some practical reasons. By I had to know the way to drive somewhere, and then in the last 2 days, it was over 6 days, I watched a few Carl Jung videos on processing some things, but basically like stepping into your energy, and I mean not your energy, like your true self, getting out of the shadow, basically. Like, well, I forgot his concrete terms, but it was something along those lines. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's not just that you are processing things; it's also that you start to consume less, almost as a result, automatically, and then you open up even more space to process, and that's also a very good thing. Or you also open space to actually produce stuff yourself, which is what I'm doing now, like shooting this video. So yeah, good luck to you guys, and I hope I make maybe a last part about the last sitting session for today. And yeah, I just wanted to shortly say something that has been happening in the last 10 minutes or so. It's like, I don't know if you see it on my face, but even though it's getting relatively late at night, I just feel fucking good. I feel fucking fresh. I feel like myself again, and I haven't felt like that in I don't know how long, but it's quite amazing. So I can only wish the same for you, and I know that you can feel like this. As my spiritual master in India told me, like, this is the natural state. This is how you're meant to feel and live, and you can just know that. So to conclude my day 4 of sitting, yesterday, actually in the evening, I still sat for sometimes not a full hour, some 15 minutes. And then what started to happen is that I started to feel very, very deep joy. And it was a joy that was so deep that I felt like I was myself again. And like it was I don't know, like a lightness in my movements. And just a very, very high vibration. Wait, I'm just gonna check something, because I'm spraying the garden and trying to get the garden green again, because we actually discovered that we have a second, like a rainwater tank, because it's been incredibly dry here. The grass was becoming all, yellow. We can see it here, like the grass was really starting to become yellow. But then a couple of days ago, we discovered that we have a second rainwater tank, and so we started, trying to get the grass green again, because it's just that we saw that the grass was getting closer to dying. So now, for the fourth day in a row, we're watering it, and slowly we see some green patches coming up again, which is very nice. And so so I saw that joy coming, and it was just a feeling of, I feel like myself again. And I mean, that's quite a thing. And then, all kinds of memories coming up again, and just, feeling alive. And it also ended today in me feeling a lot more centered. I also just enjoy, putting on some music and just, feeling it fully. Not music as a distraction, but music as a celebration of the nice energy state. So I'll conclude day 4 here, because it's actually already day 5 right now. It's the day after. I'm still gonna sit a little bit more today. It's a bit of a cooler day. Let's see if I'm gonna sit outside, maybe with a pullover or something. If you join me in this week, trying to sit a little bit here and there, please share your experiences. And if you haven't been able to do it, you don't have to do 2 hours. You've seen also that most of the time I'm actually not doing 2 hours straight, but even just 10 minutes or 15 minutes can really do a lot to your presence and your state. I noticed also today that I started to be able to eat food without the need for my phone. I started to go to the washroom without the need for my phone. I started to be able to rest more spontaneously, more deeply. So, starting to sleep a little bit better. My sleep schedule is starting to adjust a little bit. So that's a really good thing, and it's a result of taking rest and being courageous enough to sit with yourself in a chair for quite some time. So please go ahead and try and do it, and have a nice day.